Hello, my friends. I have written down everything, and I read it out this morning, and I cried a lot. So if I start crying, just pretend that I'm not, please. Just look away a little bit. As you know, my name is Nileema Ahmed. I've been coming to St. Peter's for about 2 to 3 years now, and each of those years has been even more wonderful than the last. I'm happy that I have a safe, comfortable place of worship to go to. I'm happy I am capable of worshiping at all. For a large portion of my life, I've had to figure a lot of things out on my own. My parents were not very involved in my emotional or spiritual life. They were always too preoccupied with disliking everything about each other, despite being together for almost 20 years. They each come from rich cultural backgrounds. My mother is a Cuban American who was raised in a Roman Catholic home, and my father is an immigrant from Bangladesh who was brought up as a Sunni Muslim. They met while working at a dollar store in Paterson, New Jersey. Money troubles and cultural misunderstandings were the source of many of their disagreements, and their terrible mental health was the direct cause of their eventual divorce. I don't think they ever came to a formal agreement on how they would raise children. When I was a small child, they often argued over who was going to teach their mother tongue to my brother and I first, or whose family we should spend more time with, or whose holidays we should place more importance on. The only things they really ever agreed on were what delicious meals we were going to be eating, and what music we would listen to. Ultimately, I was raised primarily Muslim. We celebrated Christmas and Easter in a secular way with my mom's family, but religiously observed Ramadan, celebrated Eid, and other holidays with my dad's family. We intermittently went to pray at a local masjid, but mostly prayed at home. I went to the Muslim equivalent of Sunday school for a short while. When my parents separated, my mother wanted to return to Christianity, and so I attended a Catholic school for 1 year and went to a Catholic day camp for a few summers. It was all very fascinating, but also very confusing. I found the ritual and routine of church pleasing and even soothing at times, but I did not understand anything about it. I knew of Jesus, but I didn't know Christ. And I sincerely wish that I did, because that would have helped a lot when I was being bullied in school, all the way up until I started college. I was considered a bit odd growing up. As a little girl, I didn't do things that were typical little girls or considered typical, and so that made my peers and adults who were supposed to be in charge of us very uncomfortable with me. I didn't come out as bisexual until I was a teenager, but I sure was mistreated for it way before then. My autistic behavior also tended to make people become frustrated with me. I was not formally diagnosed until a week or two before my 27th birthday, and so I just navigated life thinking I was, defective or something was wrong with me. Sometimes all of these things made people angry, and it made my parents very angry sometimes as well. My dad would get more and more upset as the years went on, while my mom would flip-flop between not really being bothered by anything and being extremely mad at me. I was overall a massive disappointment to my entire family. I was told many times over in countless ways that God did not approve of people who behaved like I did, that he did not love people who chose to exist the way that I just happened to be. When I asked why he felt that way, or how he came to be, or why we were to believe certain things about him, nobody ever wanted to explain. They would become frustrated with me and just tell me that that was just the way things were, and that it would do me good to just go along with it like everyone else. It wasn't good to ask so many questions, but I kept asking because I desperately wanted to understand why I wasn't loved. I wanted to know what made me so terrible that even God wouldn't love me. I didn't have a desire to stop being the things that I was, but I did have a need to know why I just couldn't exist in peace and be safe in the arms of God where everyone else seemed to naturally be. I tried my best to research what I could on my own, but for things like this, you really do need some guidance, and I just didn't have it. I felt so lonely all the time for a very long time. At some point, I started telling everyone who cared to ask or interrogate me about my religious views that I was an atheist, because that was somehow way less embarrassing than saying that I hoped that God made me the way that I was on purpose, actually, and loved me for it. Miraculously, everything slowly started to get really great after I started college, despite all the work that I had to do in class. I wasn't able to dorm, but I still got to participate in some campus life and learn to socialize. I met young religious people who were more than willing to talk to me about their beliefs, a lot of them also members of the LGBT community. Most importantly, I got to make friends, some temporary and some lifelong. I met my greatest friend, my beautiful husband Philip, in a class that neither of us were supposed to be in at the best time possible. All throughout our almost 10 years together, he has taken the time to explain all of the things I have never understood. He has taken the time to care for me in the ways that I specifically need, to be gentle and kind to me. He is always up for exploring things with me, especially things that have to do with our now shared faith. Philip was raised a Lutheran by loving parents who were involved at church and made sure their children were as well. I think meeting someone who had the exact opposite kind of childhood that I did, and then being loved by that person and his family, was just the proof that I needed that I was made to be exactly who I am, very purposefully. We support and encourage and change each other. We are alike in so many ways. I'm not alone, and I never have been. And when I come to St. Peter's and worship, I feel the most love that I've ever felt. I've never met a group of people so kind and caring, so faithful and resilient as this congregation. Strangers are welcomed so easily, folded into church life so effortlessly. On Philip and I's first day here, we were approached by a good handful of people eager to get us to stay and be a part of this church family. That surprised us. We thought we would just check out the place, attend a few services, and make a decision on whether to join or not later. We did not expect to feel so at home immediately. We looked forward to our next Sunday, and now that we have had the great privilege of participating in so much that goes on here, we look forward to every Sunday that is to come. Every week, I get to learn about so many different things here. I get to ask a ton of questions, and someone will always try their best to answer if they can, and they will always do so kindly. I get to listen to and play such sweet music. I get to talk to so many amazing people, and when I don't want to talk much, I still get to spend time with them and enjoy myself. No matter where life takes us both, St. Peter's will always be my church home. St. Peter's is the reason I'm growing and changing into a version of myself I never dreamed I'd get to be. I am confident, I'm proud, and I'm beloved by God. I'm happy that I get to feel all of that here with all of you. Thank you very much.